Hi, welcome to the FiveStack. We're here. That is my friend Zev Shalev, who is a bright night in a dark information sky. That's what he is.
Thank you.
Narrative.org. Give that man a follow. Give that man your time. No one does better reporting. No one goes deeper. No one goes harder in the corners, as we like to say, a little sports analogy. We'll get to some of that in just a second. And as always, it is so great to see you today, dude. It is like my happy time every time I get a chance to see your smiling face to start.
It is great. I love this show. This is a great show, and I love the audience, and I love everyone in the community because you're so supportive and so lovely, and the comments that keep coming in, and you, Dean, are so supportive and so lovely that it's just great. So
I love you, dude. I got nothing but love. This big heart inside this tiny chest. It's like it beats for the people I love the most, and you're one of those guys, and we've got a lot to get to today, but I just wanted to point out that yesterday, before we get started, and I know a lot of people are like, just get to the fucking content, please. The Toronto Blue Jays are on a heater.
Okay.
Now, I'm not going to ask you if you know what the ALDS is, because I know you don't. But it's going on right now. It's the American League Division Series.
Course, yeah, it's the baseball thing.
It's the baseball.
They do every once in a while.
Yeah.
Year,
it's the baseball. Well, no, they don't do it every year, which is incredible. And the first time they've ever played the Yankees in the playoffs. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Come on in. Hi, friends. Hi, Constitutional Patriot. Get in here, Tara. Michelle Brody, great to see you. You're such a great follower, subscriber. I love Michelle Brody. Puppy George. Kathy in Austin, Texas. Hi, how are you? Dave Hunter, nice to see you. So they won yesterday 13-7. They beat the New York Yankees. Hadn't played them in 48 years in the playoffs. The entire life cycle of this Major League Baseball team, 48 years.
It's a big deal.
It's a huge deal. We pumped the Yankees on Saturday, 10-1. Absolutely throttled them yesterday, 13-7. We're going back to New York with a 2-game lead in a 5-game series to go to the American League champion.
This is not over yet. There's still more.
No. Dude, there's this round, ALDS. They got a bye to it. Didn't have to play in the wild card series because they won the East. Then they're up 2 on the Yankees, the dastardly Yankees. And I just wanted to point that out because the Toronto Blue Jays are Canada's only Major League Baseball franchise.
Is that right?
And to beat the Yankees
is a big deal.
And not just because of the lore of the Yankees, but Canada versus the Yankees. Canada, Yankees. Canada,
I love
Yankees.
that sports rivalry. It's a good one.
It's also
it drives ratings
about where we're at in a world full of craziness where the United States wants to take over Canada. They're saying all kinds of nasty shit about us. They're inventing new operations. We'll get to some of that a little bit in the podcast today too. But can you imagine if Canada's only baseball team wins the World Series, how mad Donald Trump will be because the New York Yankees are his team?
Oh, right. I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Why does it take so long? Why does it take so long to figure out who the winner is? I mean, it seems like it's been going on for months.
That's what I love about doing a podcast with you, who knows nothing about sports.
About it,
why does it take so long? It's a 162 game schedule for the course of an 8-9 month season, and it is a grind.
Yeah. It's hard to watch baseball. I don't really understand baseball. I went to one game. It was very difficult to follow.
I think of it like cricket.
It's not. Cricket is understandable. Cricket,
it's not. Cricket's the dumbest sport alive.
You can understand. It's like 3-day tests, 5-day tests. It's
who
easy to understand.
Who wants to watch cricket for 5 days? I don't even want to watch baseball.
Of course you want to watch for 5 days. It's lovely.
No, you don't. It's
You
ridiculous.
have tea, you have crumpets.
Yeah, anytime you stop for tea on fine china while you're playing a sport, I'm not watching that
sport. It's the way it should be. I miss those days.
I'm sure you do, being South African. Anyway, I just wanted to point that out. We're going to set the table today.
Congratulations.
Well, yeah, now that you know.
Just the news. I'm getting the news right here from Dean Blundell.
Not in the FiveStack, but we are here for the FiveStack. Where do you want to start today, my friend?
It is a big show about a big topic. So, number 5, the Supreme Court declined to hear Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal on Monday, leaving her 20-year prison sentence intact for sex trafficking minors with Jeffrey Epstein. Maxwell had argued that Epstein's 2007 Florida plea deal should have protected her from prosecution in New York, but the DOJ successfully argued that the agreement only applied to her Southern District of Florida. Her attorneys have been angling for a Trump pardon in exchange for cooperation on broader sex trafficking investigations. She spent 2 days talking to Deputy AG Todd Blanche in July in a released interview before being quietly transferred into a low-security Texas facility. So her good luck run has ended, it seems. The Supreme Court, saying, no, we can't hear this review.
Yeah, I would say, over 200 different victims that testified against her. I would say 30 years of unabated, easily provable pedophilia in a sex trafficking ring probably was her undoing. I am actually surprised by this, though. And I'll tell you
It's good news.
why. Yeah, it's really good news, and I want your take on why. But I'm surprised by this because I was just under the assumption that the Supreme Court of the United States of America was heavily in Donald Trump's jock. Like I was just under that impression. So I have this way of doing things. I practice this philosophy called Stoicism, where I just expect the worst all the time. And if the worst doesn't happen to be the worst, then I'm a pretty happy camper, right?
Yeah, pretty
So
good.
I just expected that Donald Trump would finagle his way to figure out a way to get Ghislaine Maxwell off of these charges, and he'd whisper in the ears of the people that he made men and women on the Supreme Court, "Hey, give her a minute, give her a second. She's gonna give me." Didn't happen. It didn't happen. Now, coincidentally, she's also in like an Airbnb that they're trying to pass off as a fucking prison. And she's, taking yoga, learning how to do crochet, upskilling, if you will. I think she's taking a coding course or two, which shouldn't be fucking allowed.
None of it
But
should be allowed.
I gotta tell you, a little side eye for the Supreme Court today, my friend.
I agree with you. And I think that's why this is such an important story. There's a couple of stories and decisions they've come down with which haven't been completely pro-Trump lately. And it makes me wonder if the Supreme Court still has an independent heart in it, beating somewhere. And it also makes me wonder if that big Quantico meeting with the generals really, in my mind, I think there was a real breaking point in the way the institutions of America, and we'll get to this later on, but the way the institutions of America have reacted now to Trump. I think it's a different ball game since last Tuesday. And I see the administration and its supporters, ramping up the PSYOP against everybody and just throwing things at us that isn't working, but they're just going through the motions because it's all they have. And I think maybe everyone's beginning to understand exactly what Trump is all about. And that
Like,
could
holy
include the
shit.
Supreme Court.
Holy shit, we might have greenlit too much on behalf of this crazy fascist dementia-laden asshole.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit, this guy is actually going to destroy the United States of America, and we're going to be on the hook for allowing him to do it. Like that kind of awakening.
Yeah, that kind of awakening. I think it's really happening. And I know they gave him that stupid immunity, which they must regret now. But, everyone's like, it's very weird. Don't you watch the news all the time? You think no one can be possibly taking this as serious news because it seems so manufactured and it's happening at such a pace that it just doesn't seem real. Like nothing seems real. Like, there's a clip that I wanted to play. Maybe I'll pull it up later on from a guy who's done a lot of PSYOPs in his life. And he says, we're definitely in a PSYOPs. But the problem with the PSYOPs right now is that they're accelerating them because they're not working. So rather than letting, a PSYOP settle and let the population adjust to it, relax, understand it, and then move on to the next one, they just keep throwing shit at us.
Yep.
And that's not working. And I think everyone's realizing how much of a mess we're really in.
Yeah, well, that would be nice if the Supreme Court actually recognized that. A couple of the things that we're dealing with here in Canada that are not dissimilar and are fueled by MAGA are two separate psyops. The Trump psyop against the citizens of the United States of America is what we're seeing today, which is we need martial law in these cities. Oh, we need martial law in those cities. Oh, And it's all because he's dying a slow political death. Actually, it's actually sped up, which is why he is sped up his aggressiveness, why he is sped up sending ICE, why he wants to put the 82nd Airborne Division
Unbelievable.
in Chicago. He wants to jettison them in. And these generals are standing there going, yeah, we're not doing that. We're not buying your game. But, the fascinating part, because I can see it, you can see it, and I say it all the time, is I can see it in texts and tweets, True Social posts, social media posts, where it's almost like being in the Matrix because we're so enveloped in this shit that you can see a psyop coming from a mile away. And in Canada, and I'll talk, in a way that everybody can easily understand. In Canada, there are two psyops that are currently being funded and worked via MAGA out of the United States with MAGA adjacent partners. Maple MAGA, we'll call them, up here in Canada, specifically the Conservative Party of Canada, around two subjects. One, which is very fascinating, this anti-Christian bias bullshit. Okay. Number two, and this is really interesting, medical assistance in dying, MAID.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So today, because I've got this, software that says, here's what people are talking about on social media. These are the things. And I've got a specific, aim pointed at Canadian disinformation, obviously. And what we do is we reconcile those operations from the United States and Canada. So which accounts from the United States or Russia or China or India? There's a new entrant into the world of disinformation some people might find interesting, or North Korea or Belarus, happens quite a bit, friends, or Iran, by the way, or Israel, happens quite a bit, is they will inflate, lie about medical assistance in dying numbers. People that have chosen people that have chosen the right to die the way they want to die, which is a doctor comes to your house, sticks a needle in your arm, you pass out, you die. It's just the most humane thing. In Canada, you're allowed to choose that. They said 2.1 million Canadians chose to be killed because Canada. This is what America is telling Canadians, because Canada is forcing MAID on people. Yeah. And the other one, this anti-Christian bias, keeps very special, close attention to this, because it's also in Trump's NSPM 7 memo and directive, which is any anti-Christian bias, you're considered a fucking left-wing terrorist.
Yeah.
And now that has started. And how has it started here in Canada? Fucking fascinating. Glad you asked, even though you didn't. There's a gentleman in the Conservative Party, or Maple MAGA Party of Canada, named Jamil Javani. Jamil Javani's Harvard roommate, venture a guess, anyone?
I think I know the answer to this question.
Vance.
Yeah.
Guess what J.D. Vance has been all about? Anti-Christian bias.
Yes.
Left-wing hatred against religion. They hate us because they ain't us. All that other shit. This is a borderless operation. It is not just happening to the United States. It's happening here in Canada, and they're doing it through a little province in the middle of Canada called Alberta that is currently experiencing a massive separatist movement, because there's a certain collection of people that run that province that would like to take Alberta out of Canada and deliver it to Donald Trump in the United States of America. So heads on a swivel, everybody. We're dealing with your shit up here too. And don't apologize, because I'll take care of that for us.
Yeah, I mean, the world is at odds with each other. I mean, we've really got a clash of ideologies that is showing up in this disinformation space everywhere. And it's even when you can see it, even when you can identify it, even if you know what it is, it still works, It still works a little bit of the time, not all the time. I'm so glad Ghislaine Maxwell is going back to prison and staying in there, whatever she is in that camp, because the crimes that these people committed are beyond reproach, and not just the sex crimes, the financial crimes, the 50-year history of stealing and looting America's wealth, which has led us to the financial crisis we're in right now. All started with her dad. All started with Robert Maxwell. So, as I've detailed in The Greatest Heist, which is coming back with a whole new a bunch of chapters soon, it's quite stunning when you realize what they've done over 50 years and how much they've stolen. $40 trillion or more. Some people say $70 trillion pulled out of the American economy.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. Yeah. I wouldn't mind having some of that, actually.
It's a lot of money. So, Ghislaine, enjoy your prison time. Story number 4. Sorry?
Yeah.
I missed that last one.
Yeah.
So, story number 4. This story is unbelievable. South Carolina's Circuit Court Judge Diane Goldstein received multiple death threats in the week. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha now. Gotcha.
Yeah, I can't hear you, but okay, there you go. In the threats in the weeks before her $1.55 million beachfront home was destroyed by fire and an apparent explosion on Saturday. Now, this is an incredible case. She's a very prominent judge. You've got it on deanblundell.substack.com. Yeah. I couldn't believe it and I saw the visuals on Saturday. This beautiful home, engulfed in flames as this explosion happened. Her husband was injured. Her son was injured. Someone else was injured as well, I think, in that explosion. But the thing is, she's been
One of her
under
grandkids.
threat by
Yep.
yeah, okay, and she's been under threat by MAGA, really, by people like Stephen Miller. She's been under threat by, and so now you have political violence happening against judges that the White House itself is fanning. And she is a very prominent judge related to a particular voter fraud, voter rolls case that you could tell us about because it was part of your story.
Yeah, fascinating story. This comes on the heel of a Trump-appointed judge in Portland, Oregon, effectively late last night, like in an unprecedented Sunday night hearing, telling Trump, no, your National Guard cannot come here. There is no national emergency. The stones on Justice Karen Immergut are huge, knowing what happened in South Carolina. Let me take you through it. A judge named Diane Goodstein, married to a gentleman who was a state senator in South Carolina for many, many years, very well-regarded family. She had decided in her judicious wisdom that Donald Trump cannot just walk into South Carolina, scoop up voter database of 3.3 million South Carolinians. I believe that's how you say it. I could be wrong. And use it for his own political advantage. And so she said, no, you can't do that. After she decided, this is about a week and a half ago, after her decision was final, she's like, no, you're not allowed to have voter registration data and data points on 3.3 million people that live in this state. The death threats started coming fast and furiously. Now, this is not new. Judge Mershon, every other judge, we've had judges, husbands get shot, kids get shot, get attacked, get called Mexican spics. By the way, that's another one. One of the judges, Garcia, was. It is every time a judge decides Donald Trump, what he's doing is illegal. Donald Trump sends the mob after him. Where the Goodstein fire, if you can call it that right now, is very interesting. Is not more than a week and a half ago, she stonewalled Donald Trump and the Trump regime. She said, you can't have this private information belonging to South Carolina citizens. The death threats started before the decision came out. And they have been a steady stream of death threats for the past week and a half. Fast forward to yesterday afternoon. Justice Goodstein is out for a walk on the beach. Her husband's at home. Okay? Beautiful home in South Carolina. It's on a beachhead on a little tributary. It's beautiful. Was beautiful.
Gorgeous.
At home with one of his sons, one of his daughters, and two of their grandchildren. There's an explosion in the house. Can't attribute it to anything at the moment. Awfully fucking circumspect, wouldn't you not? Would you not agree that all of a sudden this woman that has been receiving death threats, move out of your house, da-da-da-da-da-da. Her house gets engulfed in flames. Her husband, 81, she's 69, jumped from a first-story window into the marsh. All the kids jumped. He's in the hospital now. But what a fucking escalation, if indeed this is stochastic, if it was direct, whatever it was, none of this happens if Donald Trump is not fucking Donald Trump. And y'all know it. All of you know.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things that you've got to ask yourself, just playing this out, if this tape is correct and you've got these 3.5 million votes that are so important to the Trump administration, why is it so important for them to get these voters' rolls? What are they doing for next year's elections that it's so vital for them to get these 3.5 million votes that they would go into such lengths to try and assassinate a judge? This is and it might be some other people. Of course, there might be other threats, sources that have come at her in the recent past, but this seems to be the most likely threat, or the most likely scenario, considering all the violence we've been having. I mean, this is not happening in isolation. We've got politicians being killed left, right, and center. You've got now judges under threat. You've got judges' homes being exploded. As the justice world that we were familiar with, as the Department of Justice is being disintegrated.
Yeah.
And justice as we know it in America is changing. It's just not the same as it was before.
Oh, it's been co-signed. This kind of violence has been co-signed by Donald Trump, and not just Donald Trump, but all of his proxies. Stephen Miller, a couple of days ago, And this was after the Portland decision where Judge Immergut said, hey, listen, you guys are trying to instill martial law into the state of fucking Oregon and around the United States. That's enough. He comes out, Stephen Miller, Nosferatu, that sexual matador. He comes out and says this. This is a couple of days prior to Justice Goodstein's home going up in flames due to what's apparently being widely considered to be an incendiary device. He says this. This is on Twitter. The issue before is now very simple and clear. And it doesn't make any sense. There is a large and growing movement of left-wing terrorism in this country. It is well organized and funded, and it is shielded by far-left Democrat judges, prosecutors, and attorneys general. The only remedy is the use of legitimate state power to dismantle, and this is really important, the last 4 words, terrorism and terror networks. You feed that into the brain of some low-rent maggot, you know what they'll do. Because they did
But
it.
this is a big hit. So this was something that happened in an organized way. There's no way they got into the judge's house and planted an incendiary device, without a very professional operation. I mean, maybe that's a very professional looking explosion that happened. I think I'm not an explosive expert, but certainly
You're no incendiaries guy.
No, but I've covered lots of things blowing up in my life, and when one thing looks like a professional hit, that looks like a professional hit. The entire thing exploded. Something serious was going on then. Clearly, the threats give us enough credence to suspect that it was the motivation, that she was related to a judgment. So the fact that we're having, people's homes being blown up, and there's a thread in today's show, obviously, with all about justice, all about what's happening to our Justice Department. You've got Ghislaine Maxwell at number 5 there. Yes, rejected her appeal, but then she's going off to be the back to a cushy prison to sort of hang out there as in her remaining term. And then we've got this South Carolina story with Judge and in Chicago. The number 3 story is about this. A top federal prosecutor in Virginia is refusing to bring charges against New York Attorney General Letitia James, despite intense pressure from President Trump, exposing a manufactured prosecution scheme that starts with Trump's political appointees bypassing internal watchdogs. So the guy who actually promoted these charges against Letitia James, he didn't go through the normal routes. He went straight to the Justice Department to give them those claims. Do you hear me?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Okay. So Elizabeth Yusu, who oversees major criminal prosecutions in Norfolk, has told colleagues she sees no probable cause to indict James, committing mortgage fraud or anything else, she said. And now we know why that's suspicious, because Bill Pulte, who's Trump's appointee as a director of Federal Housing and Finance Agency, well, he broke standard procedures by skipping over his own agency's inspector general when making criminal referrals against James. But then the prosecutor herself, that's been ordered to put charges against Letitia James, says she can't find any charge.
Yeah. Well, listen, if at first you don't succeed with your fascist takeover, try again. He has nothing to lose other than everything. And so he is going after everybody and anybody
exactly
that he can. Yeah, absolutely. So let me just kind of backtrack. Not only is this special prosecutor who he is charged with making sure Letitia James got charged, not only does he hate Letitia James, not only is he a pure maggot, he got into the seat, was like, I got nothing. Like there's no way I can make this stick. Yeah. That follows on the heel of Trump literally firing an FBI agent. Who said, I physically cannot perp walk James Comey on October the 9th because he has done nothing wrong. So what does Trump do? He fires that FBI agent and goes looking for someone who will do his shitty, greasy, dirty work. You need no more receipts about what Donald Trump is up to other than these 2 fucking stories today when it comes to justice, crime, corruption, what he's all about, which is revenge. He is not only not interested in the business of the United States if it doesn't serve him, he is not interested in justice in the United States. He is interested in one thing, and that's making everybody pay for holding him accountable in his first fucking term.
Yeah,
That's
making
it.
his enemies get out of the way so he can complete his mission. What he is trying to do to America is destroy it in every single way. So for him, all these people that he's targeting are his enemies. And he wants to strike fear in the heart of the judges. He wants to strike fear in the heart of any prosecutors, of any FBI officials, of anybody who might stand in his way from achieving this massive goal that he has.
So let me ask you a question. You're a judge,
Yeah.
right? And let's say you're a judge in North Carolina, and you know Diane Goodstein, the judge whose home was literally burned down by some unknown thing that happened the week after she received hundreds of death threats for just telling Donald Trump he can't have access to 3.3 million South Carolinians' private data. Her house fucking explodes.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question about that. Do you, knowing what we know that Donald Trump has done in Chicago, Portland, LA, what he's trying to do around the United States, do you question for a second that he or someone he's involved with or someone close to him is slightly responsible for what happened, if not directly, but indirectly? Because I don't.
I mean, there's certainly something that needs to be investigated. It seems like a real possible motive for such an event. I mean, it does look like this was arson. It doesn't look like it was anything, that happened for any other reason. So
Right.
if someone has intentionally said it, what are the motivations and what are her enemies?
If
It's
he's
clearly,
capable of that,
yeah,
what lengths do you think he will go to put, like this woman just said no to him?
Yeah.
What lengths do you think he's going to go to
Well, she's
put
gonna get
people
fired.
who embarrassed the fuck out of him in his first administration to feed it to them?
Yeah. It's going to happen repeatedly, and it's going to be a growing list of people. And I think that's just the new normal of America. What you're pointing out to is that these judges are so critical in being the guardrail and being the holding line. As we spoke about the generals, and we'll get to them a little later on as well. But the generals, really put on a red line of where they're willing to stand, and they're not going over that red line so far. Judges as well are the last sort of defense of democracy right now, and they're holding up. They're doing a good job holding up. But we are at that point where the battle lines are drawn, and we are at war over this issue.
So not only just at war, there was a request made by Pete Hegseth, Nutsack, whatever you want to call him, to deliver the 82nd Airborne into Chicago, Illinois. Okay. This is a day after they showed up on an aircraft carrier celebrating the 250th anniversary of the Navy. This is yesterday. If you saw some of the video and the audio, it was fucking incredible, where he is on a charm offensive to get people, specifically men and women in service, to believe him that this is a necessary thing. We need to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Donald Trump wants to deliver the 82nd Airborne, an elite unit of military officers, an elite unit of killers.
Yeah, this is not a kind of thing you send into an American city. This is a very serious anti-terrorism kind of counter-strike force. This is not one of those let's send them in to tidy things up.
Yeah, it's not the National Guard. Is that what you're saying? Yeah, no, it's not the National.
They don't need to go on garbage duty,
No, they don't have. They're not being sent in with weed whackers to clean up, Chicago. They're literally being sent in with assault rifles. And here's where that's interesting: is this is going to be that first bellwether test of whether or not the United States military, the Navy, the armed forces of the United States of America actually believe him, will actually follow him, because he is trying to take over the military in the United States of America. Mm-hmm. Whether it's a charm offensive on an aircraft carrier, whether it's, facially scanning 800 generals and making them sign oaths, he is actively trying to take over the military so he can create an atmosphere in the United States of America where he can cancel the 2026 midterms. Yep. That's what he's doing. Strip all the other bullshit away. That's exactly what he's doing.
He wants to eliminate
martial law.
Democratic, liberal-minded thinking in the country. He's going to shut it down.
Yes.
This is a one-party state in his mind, and it's his party. That's the only view, the only opinion, the only news that you can consume in his world is going to be the news that fits his agenda. This is not America as we've known it. This is a very different one-party state-controlled America that he's trying to build. By targeting all the Democrats, by using the Justice Department in this way, and targeting all these officials, he's achieving at least some of that. But at the end of the day, the generals, such a moment in time, I think, because they really did solidify where they stood. And, we now know that 82 airborne deployment, the orders for that came before that meeting. So a few days before that meeting, they had that deployment, and the military brass pushed back. They said to Hegseth, "We want Donald Trump to issue these orders directly to us. We don't want you doing it. We want Donald Trump telling us doing it." I don't know if he did or did. Yeah. I don't know if he did put but I know Hegseth had originally done the orders, but I don't know if Trump had actually put in his orders. But then the Tuesday meeting happened, and he's sitting there wagging his finger at them, saying, "You have to applaud me." And this is already, the 82 airborne conversation already happened. And it already freaked people out. So this didn't happen afterwards. So they walked in there knowing what's at stake. They knew exactly why they were so stony-faced during that whole thing. And it tells you a lot about where America stands right now. It's got the judges are holding the line, but the generals and the military are holding the line too. They're holding the line for the Constitution. That's what their allegiance is, and they're not budging. I don't think they're in the mood to budge. He might have to fire them all before he gets any movement in the military.
Yeah, then the military will be exactly like the Trump regime at the White House, just full of fucking losers, right?
Yeah.
That's what he does. He manages to figure out a way to get rid of any dissent, any disloyalty, and then he'll install complete fucking lunatics to run the army like a civilian. Pete Hegseth is a fucking drunk-ass civilian. Pete Hegseth is a failed broadcaster. Pete Hegseth is a failed military guy. He's the fucking Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
What do you think he's going to do with the military if he gasses 800 generals, 800 chief petty officers, 800 admirals? I mean, he is going to install a technocratic loyalist to manage it all. And listen, if America was scared before about what's going on in America, remove 800 of the fucking smartest, brightest people who are committed with blood to the Constitution and to American citizens. Remove them from the equation. That will be a charge. And if the 82nd Airborne actually goes, yeah, we're going in, the military has capitulated. I don't expect them to. Some of this information you're giving me today for the first time is fucking awesome, by the way. That I had no idea that request for the 82nd Airborne came before that meeting with the generals, but it explains not only how stone-faced they were, it explains the lack of interest in listening, it explains the lack of enthusiasm for both of the two fucking cucks that sat there and excoriated the smartest people that are holding up the fucking wall for the United States of America and 370 million citizens. That he called them fatsos and beardos.
Yeah.
Like, it explains fucking everything from the insults to the tepid ask that they go in and treat American cities like a training ground for what Donald Trump wants them to do around the fucking world. Yeah. That even in itself, as I say it, sounds so crazy to me, Zev.
The American military is not going to turn against Americans. I mean, they're just not. I can't see it happening. If it happens, it'll be a stunning event. The fact that they are trying to make it happen is frightening. The fact that there are people resigning in the general ranks, for sure, it's also frightening. But every soldier in the U.S. military has the same oath to the Constitution. It's not like they have to listen to the president, and it's not like they have to listen to, they have to listen to the Department of Defense, but they certainly don't have to follow the president's orders in the traditional way that you would think of a commander-in-chief telling them what to do. At number 2, federal judges delivered Trump's stunning defeat over the weekend. So there were 2 federal judgments blocking his attempt to deploy National Guard troops to Portland and Chicago as Illinois and Oregon sue to stop what they're calling Trump's invasion. U.S. District Judge Karen Emmergut, Trump appointee, issued increasingly broad restraining orders, blocking first Oregon's Guard and then California's replacement troops, and finally any state's National Guard from deploying in Portland, finding the protests were not significantly violent or disruptive. So here again, judges standing up, making the right decisions, and you can see how the military here and the judges are forming a real containment line for Trump's aggression.
Yeah, and Stephen Miller's response to this, and I'll just read you his tweet. Keep in mind, this is a Trump-appointed judge, Karen Emmergut. This was what Stephen Miller said after. And he's the most dangerous piece of shit in the White House outside of Donald Trump, by the way.
The most dangerous man in America, Stephen Miller.
Without fucking question. I hope something awful happens to Stephen Miller. Anyway, he says legal insurrection. That's what he calls it. This judge's decision that was appointed by Donald Trump. Legal insurrection. The president is commander-in-chief of the armed forces, not an Oregon judge. Portland and Oregon law enforcement at the direction of local teachers have refused to aid ICE officers facing he's going after fucking terrorists or teachers now. Refused to aid ICE officers facing relentless terrorist assault. That fucking word. He will attach it to anything that stands in his way. They're all fucking terrorists. That's how you know these guys are dumb fucking cucks. Facing relentless terrorist assault and threats to life. There are more local law enforcement officers in Oregon than there are guns and badges in the FBI nationwide. This is an organized terrorist attack on the federal government and its officers, and the deployment of our troops is an absolute necessity to defend our personnel, our laws, our government, and public order, and the republic itself. I would encourage everybody to go to deanblundell.substack.com. There is a post there called Trump-appointed Oregon judge delivers second stunning rebuke of Trump's effort to use ICE agents, National Guard, against people of Portland as DHS turns Chicago into a war zone. That's the title of the actual article. The very first video, which is unbelievable to watch, is of someone with a press vest. Some dude, he's got his wallet, he's got a coffee, and he's walking people through what's going on. The ICE facility in question, okay, is there are maybe 50 to 75 people in front of it, all peaceful demonstrators. And on the roof I counted 12 snipers.
Wow.
12 snipers firing pepper bullets at peaceful protesters because what they're trying to do is agitate. What they're trying to do is get a visual of someone lighting something on fire or attacking an ICE agent. The only visuals we're getting out of Portland now are these visuals of peaceful protesters using their God-given First Amendment to free speech, whether or not you believe in God or not, doesn't matter to me, standing there saying, go home. We don't need you, because they don't. Do you know why Donald Trump said this morning that this judge is a lunatic and Portland is burning down to the ground? I'll tell you why. Because his team are literally feeding him videos from the Black Lives Matter George Floyd fucking protest saying,
years ago,
5 years ago.
Unbelievable that he's being fed that disinformation. I mean, he's being fed disinformation. Think about how corrupt this White House is, that his own team are busy lying to the president.
Stephen Miller walks in with a fucking iPad and he's like, whoa, look what's going on. Yeah. And Donald Trump's so fucking stupid and lazy. Yeah. He's not like, get me the metadata for that. I want to know when it was, how it was. I want all the information. He's like, he gets triggered, right? And he's like, all he sees is opportunity. So he's like, send in the fucking National Guard. Then a judge says you can't do that. One of his judges. And he's like, she's a left-wing lunatic. And someone's like, you appointed her. He goes, doesn't matter. She's been bought and paid for by the Democrats and George Soros. That's literally, as I sit here today, the exact playbook every single time he hears the word no, which is, they've turned on me. They were never Trumpers. Send him in anyway. And he's trying desperately to figure out a way to take Title 32 and twist it to his own fucking shitty means. And he can't today, which is fascinating to me. Apparently, according to Lev, who I had on for the the weekend roundup today, he's just going to send him there anyway. Now you're going to start to see the fur fly. You want a Civil War conversation? The law enforcement officers, Chicago PD, have been pepper sprayed. They've been beat up. They've been hit by cars. Law enforcement in Portland, same thing. They're getting very fucking tired of the circus. And if you're asking me for my projection as opposed to, some kind of understanding of what's really going on, you're going to start seeing, like even in Chicago, J.B. Pritzker today, he's like, this is now an ICE-free zone. And they're suing the federal government. California, the exact same thing. You're going to start to see the physical manifestation of what Donald Trump is trying to do to these states with law enforcement from these states who actually understand that Donald Trump is a fascist shithead who's literally trying to militarize these American cities, blue states, blue cities, sanctuary cities, so that he can literally have exactly what Vladimir Putin has, which is undeniable loyalty, undeniable fear from the people of the United States of America.
That's a really well put. The other thing that's happening, of course, we didn't get into the countdown today, but Barry Weiss is taking over CBS News. So you've got
You see
this
that?
this new editor in chief. This is astounding, when you've got their control over the media is going to be so profound that they've controlled Paramount, they're likely to control CNN, they're likely to control the vast empire that is including Paramount, that includes
Time Warner.
Yeah, so there's a lot that they're going to be buying, and TikTok as well. So you add all of that together, you got someone like Barry Weiss, who's a fanatic Zionist, I don't know, that's what she describes herself as. And she's going to be running the message, right? She's the messenger for all these different networks that are providing
She's the governor
news.
for all the messaging for the biggest media company, which is beholden to Donald Trump.
And there's going to be no liberal, or very little liberal sounding stuff. She's against wokeness. She doesn't like any of that stuff. Everything from the left is going to disappear from all these news channels. Then Trump is going to march into these cities with these ICE officials, taking away a lot of liberals and the citizens. Then he's going to be marching in with the National Guard and implementing, what is going to feel like martial law in some places. Mm-hmm. And then he's going to find an excuse to ultimately do the martial law because he really wants the 82nd Division to come in there and really suppress people's thoughts and activities and protests and ultimately their votes next year. So you've got all this coalescing. This is looking like the worst kind of autocracy you've ever had all at one time. Only I don't think it's going to work. I don't think it's going to work.
I hope it doesn't. I mean, America's in a fight for its soul, right? And, the unfortunate part here is that America's soul is somehow intrinsically attached to perception. And that perception is, well, we need a tough guy. We got to look tough. We got to, we got to look like alpha males. We got to run the table. We got to, and you're seeing a lot of violence get portrayed as nationalistic, as protective. It's not. The only terrorists in Portland work for Donald Trump and ICE. He's got a goon squad of fucking unrecognizable masked cocksuckers. Pardon my language. Masked assholes.
What do you really think?
Oh, these guys are just the fucking lowest of the low. Yeah. If you decided to take Donald Trump's $50,000 bonus so you could go crack some fucking migrant skulls, and I'm talking to you, if you're a member of ICE, you have sold your soul. You are the worst of the worst. You are a fucking, you're the sheeple. But here's the great part. You're the sheeple to a complete fucking moron, to a fascist, to a liar, to a sexual predator, to a rapist, to a 34-time fucking felon, because you need to get your rocks off pepper spraying some kids in Chicago in an inner city neighborhood. Is that what you have to do to feel cool about yourself?
This is what they're doing.
This is exactly what they're doing. You're one of those ICE agents. Listen, I'm talking to you right now. And if you know someone, you got family members, I want you to send this to them. You're pussies. You're all followers. You're all liars. You're all violent, useless members of society that have chosen to hurt your brothers and sisters for a fucking paycheck on behalf of a fascist asshole who happens to be an adjudicated rapist, 34-time felon, and a fucking con man, who is turning the United States of America, your United States of America, into Russia, into China, into North Korea. And you're like, yeah, but I get paid.
Yeah.
Guess what? You lost. You're lost. You're a fucking loser.
Yeah, you lose.
And
if you
everybody
win.
around you
lose.
knows it. Dude, I watched a video today of all these people in Chicago, inner city Chicago, come to the aid of someone that ICE was trying to grab outside of a car, middle of an intersection. And one of the masks fell off one of these tough ICE guys. Like, so tough. Oh, look, you're fucking tough with your fucking dicky over your face. And I watched the mask walk, and that's when the violence stopped. He was like, "Oh my God, I got to get my mask up. I got to get my mask up. I can't, these guys can't see me. I can't have people know that." And I thought to myself, well, there it is. There it is. There's the embarrassment of knowing what you have traded your fucking soul for, you pieces of shit.
Yeah, you
There's the
become a goon.
embarrassment and the culmination of what you know you're doing, what you know is wrong. Otherwise, you wouldn't fucking cover your face.
Mhm. Oh, yeah. Of course they know it's wrong. They're just doing it for the money and probably the thrill, I guess, their deep latent racist thrill to beat some people up and throw them into jail. That's the other thing that's happening.
Yeah.
But here's what I think, and this is tied into the number one story, which is really we've covered already about this. And I've got a story about this on narrative.org about the red line of the generals. This is that red line is quite an important one. And they may not have stated it because they were silent, but they made a statement last week on Tuesday that they were not going with the president currently, as they're formed right now. They're not going. So we've got the people in the military, which is a huge number of people. You've got the people of the court system, the judiciary, that's doing really quite well at standing up to Donald Trump. And then you've got on October the 18th, you've got what I think is going to be monumental protests happening for the big No Kings.
18th?
Is it 18th? Yeah, I think it's the 18th, right?
Yeah. And by the way, if you're part of that No Kings protest,
Yeah.
the NSPM 7 directive combined with the executive order labeling anybody that donates to Act Blue No Kings as insurgents, that's going to be a problem. But yes, continue. Go ahead.
I mean, the reality of it is people are going to have to hold up this democracy or it's going to disappear. So it's either what should be millions of people that show up on October the 18th to demand that their democracy be upheld, along with the military support, which are, a large number of people as well, but whose oath is to the Constitution, who are fulfilling that oath to the Constitution as far as we can tell. And you've got judges really pushing back, and maybe even the Supreme Court now pushing back against some of Trump's, ridiculous policies. All of those things combined should, that's what democracy is about. Democracy is about people. If you're going to defend it, it's going to be about the people standing up and saying, we've had enough. We don't want to go any further. This is a bridge too far, and it was a bridge too far several bridges ago. So we've got to stop it. We've got to draw the line. Now is the time for people to come out. And the resolve that the generals had, I think, should be speaking to many, many people about the October the 18th. If that is not inspiring to you in terms of going out and protesting on the 18th, because it is ultimately in people's hands. This democracy lives or dies because of the people who show up in those protests. I think that's where we're heading.
Such a great point, and a great spot to sort of kind of wrap things up on is, you're seeing some pushback from, the levels of government in the United States that have been hard to see pushback from, specifically the Supreme Court, specifically Trump-appointed judges. You're also seeing that red line be held by career military men and women who know what's going on. Like, don't think for a second these people don't know what's going on. Okay? Yeah. Like just understand that deeply. And if what you said today is true, which I don't doubt it because you don't lie, and if the reports are true that, these generals, these admirals, these high-ranking officers, as Malcolm Nance puts it, who get paid to make sure the people below them don't do dumb shit and the people above them don't do dumb shit, are now warning the Trump regime that this is dumb shit and they're not going to do it. What is it set up? I don't know. But take heart, be encouraged, if you're in the United States of America today, that the founding fathers put these institutions in place for these very specific reasons. As hard as Trump is motoring towards trying to abolish or get rid of those hard lines and guardrails, you're literally seeing America go, hang on a second. Yeah, this was fun for a bit. It's not fun anymore. This isn't funny. This isn't interesting. You're arresting 2-year-olds and zip tying them in apartment blocks in Chicago, right? You're possibly,
blowing up judges'
exacting
homes.
vigilante justice against judges who
Yeah.
who decide that what you've just done is illegal. Well, that's what they get paid to do. That's why you appointed these judges.
Yeah.
So I would, if I'm an American today, even though we've talked about some doom and gloom, I am incredibly encouraged by the notion that the U.S. military hive mind is on one team, and that's not on Donald Trump's team today.
Yeah. And I think that's why he's so petrified. I mean, I think he's terrified of what is about to happen to him. I really do.
Did you see that show of force that he was on an aircraft carrier in San Diego this week?
Yeah.
He had a big party, and he had the Pete Nutsack up there going, "Yeah, we're gonna get him. We're gonna get him." This is a charm offensive. He knows that the generals don't have him. So what they're trying to do, and it's not unlike what he's trying to do with Canada. He knows he can't have Canada, so he's going after Alberta.
Yeah.
He knows he can't have the military, so he's going after enlisted officers, trying to gin them up, going, yeah, fuck Lee, we need to stage an insurrection of the United States military. Don't think for a second that wasn't exactly what happened in California this weekend.
Yeah. This is the 6-month assault on democracy that has been so sped up, tells you that nothing is really sticking. Everything that they're trying to test at the limits of the institutions with isn't really sticking. The people can see through it. The generals can see through it. The judges can see through it. And this means he's I've said this before, an emperor with no clothes. He is literally has nothing to hold up the power that he wants. His popularity ratings are declining. I think the 18th are going to be sending him the protesters on the 18th are going to send him a very, very clear message. And I think they'll be one of the largest in the world. I mean, it's hard to tell yet. But, if people are thinking about going, and I wish the Democratic Party would just, realize that this is the battle line now. The battle line is about the generals standing up and saying, no ways are we going to turn our forces against the American people. We're not doing that. We're not interested in doing that. The judges saying, no, you can't send your National Guard troops into these states. That is also proving to be quite formidable, that response. So, you've got all this happening. The people have the power to do what they need to do here. The military has the power.
Can I add one thing in there too?
Yeah.
The governor of Maine today said, you want to defund us like you want to do with Portland, like you're doing with New York, like you're doing with Chicago, no problem. We're going to stop sending you checks for taxes. We're going to stop paying into the government coffers today. So, you're starting to see real pushback. Not only did she say that, J.B. Pritzker said the same thing today. So did Gavin Newsom. So did the governor of Portland, or the governor of Oregon. This is what it takes. It takes, fuck you. We're not sending your tax money. Fuck you. We're not allowing ICE into our cities. We've got ICE-free zones. J.B. Pritzker just designated ICE-free zones in Chicago today to keep them. And these are all migrant neighborhoods. These are all poor neighborhoods. And that's who they are attacking. So, not just encouraged, to your point, by the pushback, the judicial pushback, whether it's the Supreme Court or Justice Karen Immergut or, Diane Goodstein, whose fucking house exploded magically today, by the way, or yesterday. But you're starting to see it from governors as well. So I think that's worth pushing forward.
Yeah. And what I think is so interesting is this is an opportunity for Democrats to really win on a point, because they need to back up the generals. I think that they're talking about a lot of things right now. They're busy with the shutdown and all of that. But these generals are being asked to break the Constitution, to break the law, to do something illegal for Donald Trump. And I'm not hearing any lawmakers saying, over our dead bodies, are we going to let the generals go against their oaths? And that if he tries to move against any generals, if he tries to fire any generals, that will be a red line for them too. And it certainly is a red line for the people of America. I'm sensing that, and I'm not in America, but I'm certainly sensing it from everything I'm seeing and hearing, that was a real moment in time where even the most, middle grounded independents are beginning to think, well, that's just too far. You're going to send the military into our cities. And the people need to show their resolve, like the generals showed their resolve. And the Democrats have a golden opportunity here to say, we're going to lead this. Let's do it. I haven't seen them do it quite yet, but, there's hope yet.
I haven't seen them do much quite yet, other than send Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez and Bernie Sanders to a few stadium tours to tell everybody that oligarchs are bad. That is the biggest issue that America has right now, outside of the Trump or MAGA threat. It's the fact that nobody takes it seriously on the other side, right? Nobody is like, people are fucking. You know why Donald Trump won this election, people still hate career politicians in the United States of America. The Democratic Party of America, the Democrats, the Dems, the libtards, most of them are career politicians who just fucking love the juice, dude. And Donald Trump presents himself, and he's a pathological liar. None of this is true, as the antidote to that. Well, you want to fucking reach out across the aisle to a bunch of crazies, or maybe some moderates, not even the crazies. Present yourself as the antidote to that, but they're unwilling to even do that. So, America gets propped up by the institutions that the founding fathers put in motion and put in place. We saw that today, and if I'm American, I'm a little bit encouraged today. I'm also, one eye open all the time, especially when you're sleeping, especially if you're in town with a visa from anywhere around the world, or especially if you're a migrant, or especially if you're there legally, and if you weren't born in the United States of America. But that doesn't even matter anymore either because of NSPM 7.
Yeah, if you're liberally minded, if you've ever said anything liberal, whatever that might mean, you're a terrorist in their mind. I mean, it's insane. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I think I'm emboldened by what these institutions are doing, and I think that
you really are. It's kind of cute. I like it. I think it's really nice.
I mean, I'm as pessimistic about everybody as everybody about in the last few weeks about what's been going on. I think the regime has been operating like a
sliver of hope.
Yeah, but now I think there's something there. I think that there's something working its way through these institutions, through these generals, through the judges, that is drawing a red line and saying this far but no further. And if you go over this line, you're in trouble. And I think Trump senses that, and there's nothing better than a dictator running away in fear, because he is not good in that situation.
Totally agree with you. Well said. Well said. Way to wrap it up today, dude.
There you go. That's the FiveStack.
That's it? We're done?
That's it. That was the number one story, was about the 800 generals, but we discussed it so earlier, so there you go.
Well, I still like how we wrapped it up. I mean, that's sort of the last line of defense, right? Which is great. And listen, cannot thank everybody enough. Again, I get to do this with my very dear friend Zev Shalev every day. We get to kind of ring some bells and walk you through, or act as Sherpas, if you will, in a disorganized way, but in a way that I hope y'all trust. There's about 1,000 people that are watching this right now, and we couldn't be more grateful. We couldn't be more grateful that you join us every day. Don't forget to subscribe to narrative.org. That is where you will find everything that is the venerable Zev Shalev. You can also subscribe to deanblundell.substack.com, where you'll get a smattering of these stories with a little context and something that you can understand, where you can be informed and affirmed every day that you're not crazy. They are. We've got 50% off for the rest of the month as well, for annual subscriptions. I just care that you're here. That's all I care about. Really grateful that you've joined us. Really grateful that you're subscribers. Really grateful that you sit here and watch us for an hour. I know you need it, but I think we might need it more some days. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and send this to somebody who might benefit from it. Gift a subscription. Those are really cool things to do too. Gifting subscriptions specifically for that MAGA in your life. Like I have sent, I don't know if you know this, I've sent dozens of subscriptions to people that I know that are hardcore MAGAs or
really,
Maple MAGAs, where I'm like, hey, I've got a gift for you. Here's a gift subscription. You can
Fantastic.
see I've had almost all of them redeem it. I've had absolutely none of them. Not one person thank me for it, but I know it makes them think. So do the same thing for yourself. Same thing with Zev.
Great
same
idea.
thing with Dean. Yeah, dude. And here's the other thing. It's kind of like a really cool way to troll too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I like it. It's very subversive. Very you, Dean.
That's what I do. Yeah.
So there's no more hockey, though. Sorry, what's good at baseball going on?
Yeah, no, that's baseball. There's a lot of tomorrow night, game 3 in the Bronx. Yeah, there's
so excited about that. Really looking forward to the baseball. The ALDS.
You're not. ALDS. Yeah, New York. Jays are up 2-0. Go Jays. We're going to be just fine. Canada versus New York. Canada versus Donald Trump's team. I like our chances. We're up 2, Dick. We've outscored them. What was it, 23-8 over 2 games?
Absolutely. It was 23-8 if you say so. If you say so, it must be true.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. That is it for the FiveStack today. We'll see you at 3 o'clock here tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for
Cheers, everybody.